Hello, everyone. It's Linda Hayes coming to you again from beautiful Ambergris, Caye, Belize. I want to talk about how you travel from Belize City to get to Ambergris, Caye. I have a friend coming in next week, and she wanted to know some information, and I thought it was good to do a little video on it to help other people that are looking for the same information. So when you're wanting to come visit Ambergris Caye, which many people do, of course, because it has the second largest barrier reef in the world, what you first do is fly into the international airport in Belize City. There's many direct flights from many U.S. cities and also a couple in Canada, depending on the time of year. And once you get into Belize City, the international airport has flights to San Pedro, and they run pretty much every hour. And there's a couple of airlines that do that, which I'll talk about. It's only a 15-minute flight. You can also take a water taxi, which is about an hour and a half. But if you're doing that from the international airport, you also have to take a taxi to the station. So that's one thing that you have to add into your cost. I'm going to explain the different options for you. So Belize has two local airlines. So Tropic Air is the one that I like to take if it's not a lot more expensive, and I'll talk about why that is. But I often do book Maya Island air flights as well. And I'm going to show one flight that I booked recently as a comparison, so you can kind of see what they're like. So I just booked a flight today to leave San Pedro on April 29th. And prices are always different depending on what day, what time you're going, what the demand is, just like it is in flights in the US and Canada. So this is just an example to show the comparison. And the other thing I want to mention is it's not always the case that the discrepancy is the same. So I always do go into both websites to check. So the Tropic Air flight in this case at 10 a.m. is $93.50 US for the most affordable flight. And for Maya, it's $79. So you can see it's quite a bit cheaper. And that's also in US dollars, just to clarify. So one other thing to check when you're booking flights is the round trip price on Tropic Air. So Tropic Air actually has a discount on a round trip ticket. So I showed this one just as an example. It was $82.25 on the way out if I had a return flight booked. So then it's only hardly different than the Maya Air flight, which is $79. So if I was booking round trip in this case, I would have went with Tropic Air. Reason for that is that they have reward points if you like collecting, which I do. I travel a lot back and forth, and so the reward points definitely can help. And Tropic Air actually does fly to other countries other than just Belize. So you can actually fly to Cancun, and that's how I actually got into Belize the first time, because Canada really did not go to Belize then because of COVID. So I went to Cancun and then got into Belize that way. So getting points obviously is not a bad thing at all. Other thing I should just talk about is when should you book your flight? So airlines will tell you to be 3 hours in advance into the international airport to get your flight, but I find I've always been enough time in advance if I book the 2-hour flight. So leaving at 10 a.m., I get into Belize City at 10:13, and in this case, my flight's at 12:50. So both Maya Air and Tropic Air have flights pretty much every hour. So this one's the 10. Other thing to talk about, so 2 hours is kind of what I like to leave. If you're coming in to Belize City and you want to go the other way around, going to San Pedro, if you leave yourself about 2 hours, it's probably good. And the good thing is that both the airlines, if there is room on a flight that's earlier, which I've had happen many, many times when I arrive sooner than planned, they will actually just put you on the earlier flight. And if you're late, they will put you on the later flight. Don't worry at all about the fact that you have to be exact in your flight bookings. So there's one other advantage to booking a flight with Maya Air that I just wanted to talk briefly about. It's not a huge difference, but if you have to have a COVID test, which we don't need any longer to get into Canada, but I'm actually flying this time into Los Angeles to do a cruise. So I needed the COVID test to get in the US. So with Maya, when you're booking your flight, if you also say you need a COVID test, you save $5 on that. So that's a little bit of money. It doesn't really matter. So it's a little odd the way they do it. You add $5 onto your ticket price here, and then when you go to Caring Hands Clinic, instead of paying $75 for your COVID test, you just pay $64. So you've paid the $64 and the $5. So it's a little bit of an odd way to do it. And the other thing I really liked is that Maya Air actually automatically booked my COVID test when they thought I should have it. So my friend Patrick actually just booked a flight to the US as well. Now, and his flight is an early morning Monday. So the Maya appointment that he got for Caring Hands Clinic was Sunday at 4 p.m., which is exactly what he wanted for his early morning flight. And in my case, my flight is at 10 a.m., so they booked my appointment at Caring Hands at 8 a.m. So they do it automatically, and they sent me an email. So that was kind of an advantage where I didn't have to worry about getting the booking done. So next I want to show what you can do if you want to take the water taxi. So I use the Belize Express water taxi quite a bit, and I put the schedule in for you here. A lot of people actually coming to the island like to do one way on the puddle jumper, the other way on the water taxi, just to see what they like better. In terms of the water taxi, the price online shows $56.50 US dollars. And if you are taking the water taxi from the international airport, you need to take a taxi. So you can just ask the taxi driver to take you there. And in San Pedro, the station is in Central Park. So one interesting thing is that the booking for Belize Express online is in US dollars. And when I've paid in person in San Pedro, I've paid $62 Belize, which is about half the cost of booking it online almost. In Belize City, if you're going to take the water taxi, you need to take a taxi to get to the water taxi station, and that costs about $25 US dollars. So factor that into your overall flight price if you're comparing to taking a pedal jumper plane. Now, one other thing I want to mention is if you are living in San Pedro or in Belize and you want a membership to Belize Express, costs just a little bit, and you actually get a discount all the time on the water taxi. So that works well for me because a lot of times I'll have a few of us going across and I can buy everyone's tickets and I get them actually for $56 Belize then instead. So it saves quite a bit overall when you have that membership if you're doing this quite a bit. So thanks for watching. And if you haven't already subscribed, please make sure you do so. I have some interesting new content coming up. One thing I'm going to talk about is whether it's safe to stay in Belize City, and if so, where you should do it. I've done it quite a few times when I'm coming into the country, so I want to talk about that. Also, I've done a lot of driving over to Placencia, so I want to talk about how that is and talk about some fantastic stops you can do on the way. And also, we've done trips recently quite a bit to the Toledo area and Punta Gorda and Blue Creek, and I want to highlight some of that in case some of you want to go visit Punta Gorda. And if you do have any specific questions for me, please reach out.